What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
I don't even know what day it is. I want to say that it's Thursday. It could go wrong. Did go wrong this episode. I couldn't even schedule it to the very last second. Everything has just gone to hell in a handbasket. So let's hope that Darren is a little less nervous than I. Everything is falling apart. Anyways, I'm very, very excited. I don't want to forget to do my quick news here before we put Darren on the show today. And again, folks, the individual that I'm interviewing today is author Darren, and the last name is spelled Hawbrook. That's Hawbrook. We're going to have a very long and lengthy discussion about his life, his love of the English language, and what it's done for him in terms of the horror and science fiction genre. But I do not want to forget to do my job, which is to remind everybody tomorrow we are having a 6 o'clock show. That's, of course, October 20th, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are going to be hosting the band, and that would be Answer Infinity. Kind of shocking considering the fact that this is the very first time that I'll be hosting a heavy metal band, so I'm not quite sure what to expect out of it. I'm a little excited. I'm a little nervous. I hope they're not too mean on me. I'm kidding. These guys are wonderful. We've been together a long time. So without further ado, instead of making Darren hold, let's get him on the line and start chit-chatting with him. Darren?
Hi, Sid. Hello?
I have you. Oh, my God, you're here. Can you hear me?
I can now. I was struggling to start with.
Okay.
You were going in and out, but...
Yeah,
it's good
some
now.
people have a tendency to tell me that, so you can hear me now. So, hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Well,
Are
it's
you?
man flu season over here, so if I'm a bit croaky in my voice...
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. And this is kind of cool, actually, because you sound completely the opposite of me. Like, I have no accent. I sound like a traditional American. And you sound like a traditional UK person. You sound very cool. I like the accent.
Oh, thank you.
You're quite welcome. You are very, very welcome. We have a lot of ground to cover because I did my research very well, so I'm going to have a bunch of different questions for you. I like to have the listening audience get a sense of who you are, meaning obviously you're recognized for your work in writing, but that doesn't mean that that's all of you. So I kind of want to start at the beginning a little bit and talk about who you are before we develop into who you have become at this point in time. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure.
Okay, good deal. Good. All right, well, first things first. Let's talk about Darren the person. So obviously, of course, you didn't just, I'm guessing, jump out of bed when you were a small child and say, hey, I'm going to start driving and making all these chronicles and books and sorts. So tell me a little bit about the little boy, the little person that became the man, obviously. When you first started out being young, did you have just a general love of science fiction and horror, and that just gradually grew over time to be quite the affinity?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I used to love those classic programs. We had Doctor Who over here, hiding behind the sofa, the Daleks and the Cybermen. And there was a particular book series we had when I was at school. You probably don't know it over there, that side of the water, but it was called Tim and the Hidden People. And it had witches in it, magical creatures in the forest. And I think that set the tone then at an early age, really, just, imagination about magic and things that are a little out of the ordinary.
Ah, I gotcha. So it wasn't scary to you. It was more intriguing versus frightening, because I know some people, when you talk about some versions of horror and science fiction, they can be frightening to other people, and they just don't like it. They don't prefer it. It's not their thing. So this doesn't scare you, or it doesn't frighten you at all?
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, we all like a good scare, I think, don't we?
We all do, yes.
But those books, particularly, they were more enchanting than scary because they were targeted for children of that age. But, I snuck down and watched The Poltergeist when I was younger and films like that. And, they really did scare me at the time. And I wanted to try and recreate that in my writing.
Okay, I've gotcha. And what do you find, and that's one of the most intriguing questions I have, but you know what, we're not going to skip that far ahead. We're not going to get to the writing component yet. Now, were you given formal education as it relates to like journalism, English, any sort of background relative to writing or English prior to your experiences as a writer, or was it more just kind of hands-on, I'm going to dig into it and do it?
Yeah, it was more hands-on, really. I didn't do any formal education centered on writing or English literature or anything like that. You know, I left secondary school. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I'd always been tinkering around writing stories. I kind of wanted to get into films and acting, but I'd even written a kind of whole resume of all the films. I'd had my film career set out before me. I used to write those in my old school exercise books, so it was similar to, I kind of picture myself a bit like Jean-Claude Van Damme or Arnold Schwarzenegger, so, you know, the first two were, I think they were called Ninja Warrior or something like that, and a few action movies, and then I did the comedy western, something like Arnie was doing Twins or what have you, and Sylvester Stallone was doing Throw Mama from the Train.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, my God, that was a classic. That was absolutely awesome. You know, and it's interesting you're talking about this because, you know, when you first start out, the very first time you sat down and you penciled the very first piece that you did, whether it was a book itself or whether it was a short blog or whatever, talk about that experience a little bit. I think it's helpful that some of our listeners, those that are maybe on the hinge of, do I want to make a career out of this? Do I want to try to start doing this? Talk about your very first experience and what that was like, your first piece. Was it terrible? Was it difficult? Was there a huge writer's block? Did you just throw some of us throw our notebooks across the room when we get frustrated, but that's just me.
It was, I think at the time, I was reading a lot of, I got into the classics like Edgar Allan Poe and Dickens and Joseph Conrad and things like that. So when I started writing out things like that, it was just, it wasn't succinct. They're very verbose, long meandering sentences. Why use 3 words when you can use 300? It was that kind of thing. So
I gotcha.
Not perhaps the best thing for the modern readers. You know, that was of its time, I think. But I was really captured by those books, and that's the kind of thing I first started writing.
Sure, I understand. Now, do you find that, and it sounds to me from the gist of what I'm getting is that you are more of a character writer, is what I would call it, for lack of a better term. I'm sure there's a professional term, meaning that. Would we find some of Darren in every one of his characters? Because I know I'm friends with some authors that literally pencil parts of themselves into every character. Would you think that holds true for most individuals who do novelettes or novels like that? So we would find you in almost everyone.
Yes, I think so. But in as much, I think I recognize the everyman. I try and write the characters in everyman. They're not special. They may have special things happen to them, but they're just everyday people doing their daily tasks, their jobs, the daily rituals, really. But there's definitely bits of me in almost everything I write.
Nice, very nice. Now, to those of you that are listening in for the first time, because I've only had maybe 2 other individuals from the UK come on my show. So you live in an area called Lincoln, England. Now, forgive my ignorance because I am an American, so of course the only place I've even been remotely close to or spoken to people from is London, of course. So is Lincoln like, I don't know how to describe it, like here we have like suburbs, like I live in Milwaukee, but I live in Glendale, which is a suburb, in the city of Milwaukee. So is this like a city close to London, or are you out in the middle of nowhere? I'm just trying to get a sense of where you derive from.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's about 120 miles from London, I think. It's mainly rural, agricultural place. So, it's a perfect setting for forest town, really.
Very nice. So you're literally living in your novel, so to speak. Just kidding. I mean, obviously we can't all live in a novel, but you chose this, obviously, I presume, and I want to talk a little bit about, of course, you are a father and you are a husband as well. So on one side of the fence, I have 4 beautiful children, and ask me how many of them are writers, journalists, or radio people. None. How many want to be? Probably one if I'm lucky, which really bums me out, but we're not going to go there. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you have Oscar and Max are your children; they're your boys. I'm curious, do you find that they are excited or have any form of excitement for the written word or becoming a writer of any kind? Because the genre you write, I'm guessing, is very intriguing for children or for that audience.
Yeah, they're probably a bit young in a minute. They're 5 and 2. The Oscar, actually tonight we went to his to a parents' evening at the school and was looking through his books, and he's very into reading and writing. He loves to read. He'll read everything.
Oh, nice.
Max, the younger one, he just loves films.
Really?
He's ruining some of the best films for me and my wife, Laura. Laura used to love Harry Potter films, but I think after watching them about 70 times now with Max, they've lost their edge. They've lost the charm for her.
I gotcha. Yeah, because most of us, obviously, I think that at least the authors that I've spoken to or that I've interviewed before, they tend, of course, to want their children to follow the written word. They want them to love the written word as much as we do. They want to be authors or things like, or we want that for them. So would you push them more so if they asked you in the direction, of course, of writing and authoring, or would you say, you know what? Dad's a musician too, so let's be a musician instead. Or do you care? Do you even have a preference? Because they're so little.
Yeah, I just like them to find their own way. If they wanted to go down that route, then they're fine. Well,
sure.
Hopefully I can give them some guidance on that. But yeah, I mean, whatever floats their boat, really.
Sure, of course. And it takes a little while for their minds to formulate.
Yeah, I just, now though, I mean, we've got the internet now, and there's so many more opportunities, I think, for the kids that are coming up now than, back when I started out.
Oh, God, yeah. Big time. I agree.
They've got more chance of finding what they want to do, I think, because the world is shrunken in on itself.
Sure. No, I agree with you there as far as that goes. Now, if you've listened to my show before, because I know you had said you had heard me before, but I'm not sure if I ask the same question every time. Actually, I try not to. So, obviously, as you mentioned, your wife is Laura. So, to those of you that were looking on my page and saw Darren and thought, I want to date that writer, you can't because he's married. So, I'm all about the romance on this show. So we want to talk about the romance. So tell us about your wife. Tell us how you met your wife, how long you've been with her. Tell us something wonderful about how she affects your writing or how she makes you a better writer.
Okay, well, Laura, like me, is very creative. We actually met doing pantomime also. I was in this local amateur dramatics group, and the usual piano player couldn't commit to that performance, so somebody asked around their workplace, and Laura came along, and then she. I was a bit slow on the uptake though. It took me quite a while to actually ask her out, but it was New Year's Eve. We met up, and that was the start of it. That was gosh, you'll kill me for not knowing this. Right now, I think it's 9 years.
I would kill you, too. Come on. You're supposed to know this stuff, Darren. You live with the woman. You got to know that.
Skipping ahead, we got married in 2011. I know that much. That's right.
Oh, well, that's good. It's important that you know the day you got married. You were there.
Yeah. We honeymooned in Venice. And I know you were. I heard on one of your shows you were learning Italian.
Oh my goodness!
You wanted to learn Italian. Is that right?
Oh, that is terribly romantic. Yes.
Yeah, and we went to Venice. It was in September, and it was about 39 degrees, and we both forgot to pack our sunscreen.
Oh my goodness!
So, and there's not that many general stores or anything around Venice. So I thought this is a chance to impress her. I speak a bit of Spanish. I thought I'd been doing a little bit of Italian before I went there, so I was in this shop, and I went up to this Italian lady, and I said, scusi, donde possiamo mangiare il crema de sol? I thought, that's great. Look at that. That's going to impress the wife. And she looked at me, the shopkeeper, a frown on her face, shaking her head. What? So I repeated it, and then she said, mangiare crema de sol, and she started rubbing her hands. I realized I'd asked, where can we eat sun cream rather than buy? Mm-hmm. So I used mangiare instead of comprare. So yeah, but I think she appreciated that I tried to use the language.
Oh, nice. Very, very nice. Now, is she on the creative side like yourself, meaning is she writer, painter, artist, any creative sort of things that we would know about or should know?
She's more centered around drama. She did she went to university, did a drama degree, and she's just hoping to expand her business. She does an after-school drama club, and once a year we do a summer school for a week that we put on in the kids' school holidays. So we have them in for a week, and the target by the Friday is that they're going to do a whole play. And they do it. It's amazing how they learn the lines in a week.
I know, right? I would be a horrid actor. I totally couldn't do that. I would totally screw the entire thing up. I'd be like, there's no way in hell I could do that because I can't even remember my last name half the time. I can't even remember what day it is. Hello. Welcome to my world. That's the world of radio. Mm-hmm. It all kind of meshes one after another. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, we've covered that. Now, as far as your background in terms of mom, dad, things of that nature, and we talk about this a lot on my show because I think it's important to point this out. I'm self-made, and I did schooling, but I never went all the way and finished degree-wise and things. I also was a individual, came from a home where there wasn't a whole lot of support. There wasn't a whole lot of foundation and groundwork for making the author that I am today or anything for that matter. So your family, were they more of, some families get very nervous when somebody says, I want to be a professional author or be in the arts, because there's no guarantee of success in this world. So were you lucky enough to have that support and that backing and that foundation to be able to push you to kind of excel to do what you want to do?
Well, obviously they're very, very supportive, but I've always had the day job that I've gone to, and writing has been something I do in my spare time or on my lunch break. So I think that was important. And living where I am, like I say, Lincoln is a bit rural. It's away from the big city, so there's not too many people that have trodden that path either. Although there's some good things happening in the city now in the writing scene. There's a good spoken word scene happening. Some more people are getting books out there in Lincoln. So, things are on the up.
Now, I wonder, here's an intriguing question for you, as it relates to the opposite side of the fence, because I find it interesting that most of the people that I've been lucky enough to interview are cross-talents, or as I call them, cross-chameleons, meaning that you can have a talent in one area, such as writing, then you can turn around and have a multiple of talents in other areas. Now, as I understand it, you play the guitar and the keys, which are, I've seen them be played by different people, but not the fact that they could be multi-talented. In this case, you can play both. So, 3 different questions. I want to know which you prefer, meaning do you prefer to play the keys versus the guitar? Which one do you feel you play better? And then third of all, talk a little bit about, again, are you self-taught or have you had formal training and ongoing training or ongoing practice with bands and such? Tell us about that musical history.
Right, yeah. In terms of which one I play better, I'm going to say the piano. But I did have lessons when I was younger on the piano, just for a few years, but left it alone a while, then picked it back up again. I didn't really start on the guitar till I was probably early 20s, like that. So that guitar was self-taught, but it helped that I'd got a bit of a musical knowledge from the piano and the keyboards.
Sure.
I was just writing a lot of songs early on. I've got quite a few songs that I've written, and now I'm trying to get into the whole music production side of things, so getting the arrangements, getting the production skills in on that, and hopefully getting some songs out there, getting an album together.
Nice, very nice. Have you played in a band collectively, or has it more just been kind of goose going on your own, or was there a mix of both?
We was in a band for a time. It's a pretty cool band. We were playing songs that were specific to the that were in the soundtracks of Quentin Tarantino films.
Wow.
We had a female bass player. She had the Kill Bill yellow jumpsuit on. Everyone else in the band was dressed like Reservoir Dogs, the tuxedo, the black tie.
Sure.
It was great. There's such a great mix of songs that he uses in his films. It was a good time, yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, how funny is that? Well, Darren, you might be the key here, because if you listen to my show, you know that I ask absolutely every person that comes on this show, and it's ironic that you said Quentin Tarantino. So I keep doing all these interviews, and then I keep asking every one of my guests, and I know you're going to say yes. I know it. Are you familiar with the actor Michael Manson?
Yeah.
And you know he does a lot of Quentin Tarantino. Now, I've been trying to get an interview with Michael Manson for over a year. I've tried everything, Darren, literally everything.
Right.
And I'm resorting now to asking every one of my guests, and I know you're going to say it. I know you're going to say, yes, Cindy, I have his phone number. I'm going to give him a call, and he's going to come on your show. That's what you're going to say to me, right? Yes. Please.
I wish I had.
Don't let me down, Darren. Don't do it. Oh, God, what do I have to do? Do I have to tell one of my kids? I'm telling you, I'm going to give it till Christmas. That's it. I'm thinking like the end of December. That's going to be it. I mean, a person can only do so much here. I keep asking people. I tried so hard. It's like,
out there that they can get you in.
Actually, there is. There is. I know a bunch of people that have worked with him, that have met him before. It's just frustrating because, like, it's everybody around you has met him and they've talked to him, and then you're like, really, seriously? You know how you have like those. Like, he's my best friend in my head. Like, we have a show, Wendy Williams here, the Wendy Williams Show. She's got a talk show.
Yeah.
And in her head, she has, like, celebrities in her head. And in her head, they're, like, best friends. So in my head, Michael Manson and I, we, like, hang out. We write poetry together because he writes poetry. And, we ride motorcycles. Right. So in my head, we do all this stuff. Of course, they're waiting for me at the Looney Bin next month because in my head, this keeps happening, but not in reality. But I'm not giving up, people. Great. Just so you know, I'm not giving it up. Not. Well, thanks a lot, Darren. Kind of wrecked that a lot. Thanks. Anyway, I'll get over it. It's okay. People keep saying no. It's okay. I'm over it already. What can I say? Everybody says no, so you're not the only one. You're like, it's rare that I get a yes. Let's put it that way.
It's great that you've got that little fancy number in your head about being friends.
I know, right?
I used to do that. Mine was after I'd seen The Lost Boys. I used to pretend I was like Jason Patrick and Corey Haim's other brother.
Oh my God, yes! I remember that. Except for the fact that I'm 47, people kind of think it's a little strange because I'm not a child anymore and I'm not like an adolescent. I'm like a full-grown adult.
Yeah, you're going to San Diego, aren't you? I've heard on your show.
Yes, I'm going to San Diego. Yes, next week.
I'd love to go. The amusement park where they filmed The Lost Boys. I'd just love to go there.
Oh, my gosh, how cool is that? And I'm not going to lie to you. I know I probably shouldn't say this because you're my guest today and it would probably offend you. Horror is not my number one because I'm small. Okay, I'm like 5'5" and I'm 130 pounds. And this is what I do. I sit in my living room and I'll put on a movie like, okay, we're going to give a great example. Halloween, the original Halloween, if you remember that.
Yeah, classic.
I have this thing. Yeah, I have this thing, and the music comes on, and I get goosebumps. I'm very disturbed by Michael Myers, so I've trained myself. Okay, like one night I keep telling myself, okay, tonight's the night I'm gonna be able to watch the whole movie, and I'm not gonna get freaked out. Well, it never happens because I get freaked out because I live in the middle of nowhere too. So I'm in a dark room watching a horror movie with Michael Myers, trying to tell myself I'm not gonna die right now. So, when you do that to yourself, horror isn't exactly high on my list. So how funny that I'm going to be a panelist at the San Diego Film Festival for a horror film festival. Yeah. I do appreciate film in general, which is why I do it. Horror is just a little, it's a little, and I asked this to somebody the other day, so I'm going to ask you because I would almost call you an aficionado of horror, if you will. what's your take on, in 2016, because we all know Halloween was made back in the day, you know, the day of Wes Craven, John Carpenter, Stephen King, things like that. I think, and this is my opinion, things were much, I don't like the direction we're going in terms of the gore factor, the blood factor, the violence factor, the sex factor.
Oh,
I think everything has just gotten right over. Okay, so you agree to some degree. I want to get your take on, have we kind of gotten away? Have we gotten away from the essence of a good horror film, do you think? Or do you think there's still substance out there, film-wise?
I agree with you entirely, yeah. There's just too much gore, too much of a slasher fest. Like you said, you mentioned John Carpenter there, Halloween. He also did The Thing, which is, I think, is one of my favourite horror film. And that's more about the suspense. You don't get to see the monster for so long, and sometimes I think that's a lot better. They're not seeing. You're just waiting and waiting for something to happen. And
sure. No, I agree.
I can't remember the last time I saw a good modern horror movie. I think I've gone more towards Netflix now, watching some of the series that are on there. Things like Stranger Things that.
Have you ever had a chance? Well, because you're from England, I always feel weird because I'm like, I have to ask, because I'm in the United States. So then I wonder, okay, do you have I'm assuming you have most of the same access as we do. Like, for instance, I'm a huge, and I've turned my kids into this now, I'm a huge Hitchcock fan. I like my black and white movies. So I've gotten very excited about the fact that my kids want to watch the old movies, in fact. So I get that. I don't know do you have an affinity for that by chance? Do you happen to watch any of the black and whites or the Hitchcocks or some of the real B movies, if you will?
Yeah, I can remember The Birds. I watched that Hitchcock film. That was, really terrifying as well. I don't have a lot of time for watching films, per se at the moment with fitting things in around life and trying to get some writing done, but they're more about the story as well and the characters. And the genres, you've still got to remember it's all about the character, I think, as well. You've got to get people to care for the characters. A bunch of teens running around getting slashed. These days you don't really care what happens to them half the time. So I think that the art of making those is kind of being overlooked in just for the shock factor in some respects.
Right. No, I agree with you, definitely. I mean, the Saws of the world that are out there now, which I have absolutely no affinity for whatsoever, that whole slasher sort of let's tie someone up and the gore thing, and it's just like, oh, my God. I guess we're relatively lucky that we grew up in the day and age where things are a little bit different versus they seem to have kind of taken a turn, obviously. I wanted to finish up on that point because I kind of strayed away from there. Now, back to the musical thing as far as the keys and the guitar and such. Do you see yourself still maintaining some form or some semblance of participation as it relates to music? Is that important enough to you where you need that as part of you for the long haul?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I do. I used to treat the music and the writing as two separate entities, and it seemed I'd do each one in blocks. But I realised that I'm more creative writing if I'm working on music alongside that. It's like a nice break. I don't get too entrenched in one of them, so I need to try and remember to mix it up a bit. And
oh no!
And when I'm writing, I listen to music a lot as well when I'm writing. I've got my headphones on down the coffee shop. Sometimes I need that. It really helps because I can picture the scenes, the soundtrack. Certain songs evoke, the emotions.
And do you ever get an opportunity, or have you ever had an opportunity, or want to compose music? Because oftentimes, if a writer writes, they're not limited to just writing certain things. Meaning that can you write music? Do you have the ability?
Yeah, I've written probably upwards of 20 songs. So I write them. I either with just a piano accompaniment or a guitar accompaniment. So I've got the songs, I've got the lyrics, but I just want to try and, get the production side going now. So I'm learning the software, learning some, how to mix the songs together, get the different instrumentations in. But yeah, it's definitely, I see it going forwards in parallel, the writing and the music, definitely.
Sure, I agree. I agree with you 150%, actually. Now, on the personal side of things, I wanted to mention a few more because, again, I want to humanize you a little bit because you scare the hell out of me because you write pretty scary things. I'm just going to say that, folks. Anybody who writes anything scary, creepy, whatever, you kind of freak me out a little bit. But I'm okay. I'm getting a little more comfortable as we go along here, so that's good. He is not only a cappuccino fan, but he is also a wine fan. And we all know, if you listen to my show, anybody that says the word I like wine is my best friend. So now you're my best friend in my head, too. How on the wine thing, I'm about to have my first glass of wine, actually. I'm not supposed to do that, but I think it's my show, and I don't think I'm drunk, so I think we can get away with it. Actually, if we both wanted to have wine now, that would be quite well, because it's, what is it now? The time difference between us is what? It's 4:30 here, which means it's what time there? What's the time difference?
It's 10:30.
Oh, okay. Well, God, more than enough time for you to have wine. Yeah, that's acceptable. Here it's a little luscious.
Yeah, I think I'll be having one.
You can have wine right now. It's a little early, but what can I say? What the hell? We're on the radio. I also noticed that you have a tendency on your page, because, of course, we'll get into the fact that Darren, of course, has a personal page, but he also has an author page. I noticed that one of the posters that you put on for the poster of the day happened to be Sons of Anarchy. So I had to ask this question. Were you a Sons of Anarchy fan?
Oh,
Did you know that I used to? Did you know I used to interview the Sons of Anarchy?
I did.
That's right.
I know you've got another show that's based in Nuts. Yeah. I love that show.
I did, and talk about it. Talk about exciting. Let me just tell you, that is hands down, I think, some of the best writing when it comes to television series that I think I've seen in a while. Yes, it's rough. Yes, it's violent, but I think it was absolutely wonderful. So I have to ask anybody who comes on my show. You watch SOA. Does that mean that you ride a motorcycle? We see Darren on a Harley going down the road in, well, I don't know where Lincoln, England is, but we're just going to pretend like I know, and we're driving down the road. Do you ride your motorcycle in Lincoln, England? Do you have a motorcycle, or are you just like,
no, my brother's the motorcyclist and the extreme sports. He's got a speedboat, and he skis off the back of that and all that, and he likes his fast bikes, but. No, that's not for me, I'm afraid. But, I absolutely love the show, yeah. And
I understand
you're right
completely.
about the riding, because I think I must have nailed that in the whole, what is it, was it 6 or 7 series? I can't remember now. But
I want to say 6. I'm pretty sure it was 6 series. See, sometimes it's hard to remember because it seems like there were 7, but I'm pretty darn sure it was 6 actually. And I was sad. I'm not going to lie. And now, do you know that they're having an actual spin-off series? Are you aware of that? Meaning that
I hadn't heard that. No.
Exactly. No, it's not exactly the same as Sons of Anarchy because you saw the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not giving it away to know that Jax isn't alive anymore. That's right, kids. If you haven't watched the finale in over a year, then I know I just busted it. But yeah, that's right, Jax. Obviously, Jax and Gemma and all those people can't come back from the dead. So clearly, they have to reinvent themselves. So I guess a lot of this show, and Sutter is filming it now, is based on the Mayans. The other club, not the main club, but the Mayans. So like Emilio Rivera will be back in his group and all that jazz. So look for that next year. I don't know does it take longer for you to get television there? Or do you guys get it first and it comes to us? I'm never really clear on that.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think we'd get it first.
I guess we should find out.
Well, I think Netflix, there might be a slight lag for us over here.
I gotcha. Okay, I got it. Yeah, well, I know it's filming right now, so he's not even done with it yet. Usually for him it takes 9 months of production and filming and all that jazz and stuff, so don't get excited. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated as far as it comes on because, of course, I'll have to review it, and, of course, I'll have to start interviewing him again. So, yeah, I'll keep you in the loop on that.
And
the last thing I loved
his portrayal of Otto as well, and he wrote some pretty gritty scenes for himself in that.
Right? Let me just tell you, Kurt Sutter, the writer, and Kurt Person, because I've watched a number of interviews. I met his wife, Katie Segal, Gemma's character. I met her in person. Yeah. And it's so funny to see the dichotomy there because they're married, Katie Segal is married to the writer and the producer of the show, Kurt Sutter. So it's interesting because she'll say he's very much the closet person, meaning he loves to write, he loves doing all that production side of things, but you put him in front of a camera, doesn't like it. Put him in front of a crowd, doesn't like it, that sort of good stuff. So I envision that he probably sits in his little writing den 24/7 and just is very comfortable that way. That's just the sense of what I get. But yes, he scares me too, because some of that stuff, you've seen the show, right? Some of the stuff oh my God, it ain't even right. That's all I'm going to say. It's just not right. But that's okay. Now, I know that we should talk about this because this is an important topic that I know that you have discussed before, not only on your social media, but I know it's important to you, which is the necessity and the nurturing of our environment, obviously. I know that littering is a huge thing for you, keeping track of the environment. So talk a little bit about, because of course, obviously, England is quite a ways from me. And I know that, in our suburb and our states here and such, people are not as environmentally conscious. And not only that, but they're not as educated as it relates to what it takes to keep our planet being healthy and revolving and in the condition that it needs to be in. So just tell me a little bit about why this is such, what interests you so much about environment and eco-friendly and keeping our world safe and cleanly. Why is this a big deal for you? And tell us what it's like in England. Is it a big, huge issue where you live too? Because it seems to be here, a number of the states I visited have this issue.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that kind of lodged in my head was when I was at school and there was, we watched a program and they trotted out that statistic, an area of rainforest the size of Wales, or you probably had your own equivalent over there. It's being cut down every day or whatever. And I just thought about that. I thought, that can't be right. That's, there's going to be nothing left by the time I get older. And I remember I thought, I want to do something about this. But over here in England, it's a bit pretty barren. We don't have any of our large fauna left. We killed off all our bears, all the wolves, everything we used to have, and most of the woodland's gone. So I think having that environment around it I think we need that as humans. It's good for the soul, I think. And my blog, I called it A Wilderness Within, is a kind of reference to the imaginative landscape that as a writer you've got this wilderness that you can explore. And also that there's a part of nature that we need to nourish, because that nourishes us back and makes us healthy, keeps us thriving. So I was writing when I first started my blog. I was doing a bit of writing, blog posts, and some on the environment. And I've also met a fellow blogger, and we're trying to start another blog, but we've both got families, we've both got our writing, so it's a bit slow. It's called dodoexpress.org, and it means do or die out. So we're just trying to promote the good practices and the people that are doing good things. But like I said, that's in a fledgling state at the moment, and hopefully we'll get time to build on that. You betcha.
Now, we finally get to the really exciting part, which is I almost forgot to ask you this question, and you almost got off scot-free. Okay, so tell me, because wine, again, the selection for wine and such might be a little different because, again, in another country. I have an affinity for three things. Moscato has become the number one favorite, Prosecco is shortly second thereafter, and then, of course, usually a nice Riesling. So in your neck of the woods, are you somewhat of a wine connoisseur, or is it kind of like, yeah, give me that bottle, for lack of a better term? Because some people don't care. They're like, wine is good, period. And then some people have really taken the time. Have you really done that, or are you just kind of, I just enjoy a nice cocktail?
Yeah, I'm not really an aficionado.
Okay.
I know what I like, and I like the South American ones the best. I think I like a Prosecco like you. Loved it in Venice. It just reminds me of Venice, having a nice chilled glass of Prosecco.
Right. Nobody bothered to offer anything to me in Venice.
I just like a nice bodied wine. But I can't taste the blackberries or the cherries or whatever else is in there, the wood cask. I'm not that into it.
Well, and thank you for sharing that with me, only because of the fact that I think it's neat that when I visit, like when I was in Jamaica, I got married once and then we took our honeymoon in Jamaica and we went there and visited this place, and it was just neat to see the different kind of liqueurs they had, and sometimes they have different wines, you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's just different in each particular environment, so thank you for that. Okay, so that brings us around full circle to talking about what he does professionally, of course. So let's start off. First off, I want to talk a bit about A Wilderness Within, which is your blog. So I want you to introduce our listening audience and let them know what the purpose of your blog is and what sorts of things you cover within that. A Wilderness Within, by the way, is what it's called. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like I say, it started off, I just wanted to, it was a practice ground really for writing and just getting me into a regular habit of writing. And I was doing posts about the environment and nature as well as writing. But so there's all sorts now. I'm trying to focus more on the writing because we've started the other Dodo Express one. So my blog now is just more on writing issues. And I put up some short stories. There's a bit of poetry on there as well, a few. Just random bits of writing about my thoughts as well. But it's been good. It's a good place to engage with other writers, I've found.
Correct. I agree as far as that goes. And also, now, how often do you have what you call a regular regimen, meaning do you update it weekly, daily, how often, or is it when you get the time? How often can someone expect to have you blogging on there?
I don't. It's just when I get the time or when I get the notion to do it. So I'm pretty terrible, I have to say.
Oh, no, don't say that. It just happens, though. Sometimes you just, writers are busy people, I kind of wanted to ask you that same question. All of us, I truly believe this at least, I have found that each one of us has our own particular practice, so to speak, meaning that I use a certain pen, I do a certain time of day, sometimes in a certain kind of place. Do you have what you call somewhat of a protocol, meaning when you're ready to write, certain room, certain time, certain place, or do you find it just when the spirit moves you? Because, hell, some people I know get drunk, literally get drunk, and that's when some of their best thoughts come out. I think it's strange, but so talk about your process, I guess.
I don't get drunk as a rule. There's some times where you need to, and
no, I agree.
I have a regimen as such. For a long time I was one of those precious writers think I've got to be in the mood and wasted so much time waiting for the inspiration. I think now I find it, I just start writing and then it'll come. Because 9 times out of 10 you got to edit later on down the line, so just get it out there. That's one of the main things I've learned. Don't wait for the muse to come and shake you up. Just start writing whenever you've got a free minute.
Right.
I mean, there's times when you're in bed and it'll come to you as well. That's fine as well. But,
you bet.
Yeah, you probably know that feeling as well. So.
Oh, my gosh. Well, not only that, but I've been curious to ask you because I'm fortunate now. I have 4 children, and my last, my 2 are grown. My other 2 are old enough to be in school all the time, or at least a good part of the day. So I have that time if I need to have that time to do whatever I'm going to do writing-wise. But since your children are younger, do you ever find that you have to lock yourself in a closet? You know what I mean? Because literally it can be very distracting, outside noise, and I don't mean, obviously we love our children and our family, but sometimes you need the solace to create something. So is it challenging to work within the realm of your home? Are there obstacles? Is it more challenging or do you have a side office? I guess I took for granted that you're writing at home, but is it ever an obstacle?
Yeah, it can be. So most of the time I'll be writing after they've gone to bed. So provided they've been good and gone to bed on time, it's fine. If not, we can run into problems. But,
Gotcha. Now, my question is, you have different your different books, and then, of course, obviously the one that you're launching on October 31st. So we have The Dark Rising, and we have The Great I don't know how to... Is it illusionary? Okay, got it.
Illusory.
Now, there you go. Let's start off with The Dark Rising a little bit. I want you to do 2 different things, if you would. If you could provide a short synopsis on The Dark Rising, and then tell me when you completed that, and tell me the distinction between that one and then the secondary, The Great Illusory.
Right. Well, the first one I put out was actually The Great Illusory. To give a bit of background, what I'm doing, they're all shorter fiction, so they're not novel length. I don't want to, anybody download and think, oh, this is finished. I thought I was expecting a novel. My idea is that I'm telling a story, but these stories are self-contained, but they've got links into the other one. The Great Illusory is more of a standalone one, although it's got a recurring character in who will be back in the series later on. The Dark Rising, that's really book one of a kind of more serialized storyline. So Foreverland, which is out October 31st, is the next one in that sequence. So it's just, I wanted to make it accessible so people could read it, in one go, have a coffee, sit down, read a book. It's self-contained. If they like it, they could go on to the others. If not, they've just read a short story, but they've not invested too much time in. So that's kind of the idea behind the whole series.
Right. And then, of course, obviously, that leads us to the October 31st Foreverland book launch, which, of course, I found it ironic, but I guess I shouldn't find it ironic since it's you. Was it purposely done October 31st that you had picked Halloween for the launching of Foreverland?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I had that in mind. I thought, why not make the most of that occasion? And of course. I mean, Halloween is not such a big deal over here, but I've always loved the way it's celebrated in America and Canada. I wish I'd have grown up there doing all the Halloweeny things, trick-or-treating. It just seems on a whole new level to what we have over here.
Oh, I gotcha, definitely. Yeah, because now I know, dumb question again, but is trick-or-treats and the Halloween rituals that we're accustomed to, is that part of your culture over there as well?
Yeah, it is, but it's not as widespread. We haven't had one in 5 years. We haven't had one person knock on our door in 5 years.
Oh, my God. Are you serious? Was it because,
it's bizarre. Wow. I know I used to do it when I was a kid. We used to get a good sack load of goodies, but I don't know. It's I don't know if it's because of the times we're living in or not. Is that affected it over there? Just more. I don't know.
Well, we're very fortunate. We have 18,000 options for trick or treat here, at least in the state of Wisconsin. Oh my God, we could go 4, 5, 6 times if we wanted to. And God knows those kids get an over bucket full of candy, and I'm like, yay! Here comes the dentist. Can't wait. Yeah, we're pretty lucky in these states that we have these rituals because Halloween is one of my favorite times of the year. Period. So I mean, kudos to our picking Halloween because who doesn't love that? And it fits right with your genre, of course. Now, I want to clarify that Foreverland is the third book in the Forest Town Chronicles, obviously. So just so everybody's aware of that in case you were paying attention and such.
Yeah.
Give us a sneak peek about Foreverland. What are we going to see in this book that will resonate, meaning that is this going to continue to captivate us to continue on with the Chronicles? Has it piqued you as the writer? Sometimes we get bored with our material. So are you still excited about the chronicling? Are you still thinking, yep, there's another couple of books out there?
Oh, yes. Well, for this one, I've been writing 2 books, so Foreverland and the next one after that, kind of simultaneously. But then we settled on Foreverland as going out. So it's the next one after Dark Rising, but it's set back in time, so it sets things up and links the 3 together.
Okay.
And I kind of freaked out a bit because I started watching Stranger Things, and in Foreverland, it's the 90s, they were in the 80s in Stranger Things, and I've got a loner with a camera, and I'm going, oh no, I'm writing this and they're doing this on Stranger Things. But, there's similarities, so, I mean, hopefully people who enjoyed Stranger Things may think this right up their street. So it's about a loner who goes out following girls with his camera. There's been a couple of missing kids and such, and
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away at this stage.
Right. Well, I was going to say, just a sneak peek at this point is perfectly fine. So this way people can get excited.
A couple of the characters in there will be, in the one after that, so which comes back into modern day. So it's just trying to, link this up all together. Like I say, I want them to be standalone. They'll all have a beginning and they'll all resolve, but they'll all feed in like different pieces of a jigsaw into a bigger puzzle.
You betcha. You bet. Have you ever gone back, and again, this is just a curiosity question, have you ever gone back after you've finished it? Because I know I'm my own worst critic. This is why I don't listen to my shows, and I don't listen to my shows when they're done. I don't usually read my own work. Do you ever go back and look at something, and then even when it's published, you're like, oh, I could have edited that one more time? Do you know what I mean? Kind of like, I don't think people understand that. Even when you send it out, you're like,
Absolutely.
no, I could have done that. Okay, so it's not just me. I'm not the only crazy one.
No,
okay.
I bet every writer's the same. And I think it's because we're always evolving and we're always learning and getting better, I'd like to think. And so you
I agree.
Become hypercritical of what you've written in the past. You think, if I was doing that now, I would have done this.
Right.
But, I mean, all writers the same. I'm sure Stephen King might look back on some of his early works and think, but I think it's natural and it's good to see an evolution. You can see from when they started out to when they become the big selling authors. I agree. I definitely get that, and I do that a lot. So maybe I won't read it afterwards. I'll just leave it, send it out there and leave it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I totally get that. And, of course, you had to say the Stephen King thing, because he's totally my best friend, too. That's another one. Only he's a best friend that's chasing like a chainsaw a lot. He scares me. He scares me a lot. I mean, have you looked at him? There's something not right with him. That's probably why he writes so well, because there's something off with that man. I'm like, he just looks creepy, and he was on Sons of Anarchy, too.
I seem to recall.
Did you know that?
He was.
That's right. That's right. He was the cleaner guy.
I can't remember the character, but now you've said it. I remember.
I don't even know if he had a name. That's what I mean. He just kind of came in all creepy, and I think he cut up bodies or something like that. From what I remember.
Yeah. Well, why not? You're Stephen King. I bet he could get in.
Right, he can do whatever. That's exactly right. Yeah. Now, also, I wanted to ask this question, too. I know at one point you had been giving away your first 2 books for free, as far as the Forest Town Chronicles, the first 2 books. Now, was that just an extended period of time, or are you still doing that, or what's the status on that?
We did that the other week, so probably
gotcha.
It was just a kind of promotional thing. I'm working with Alexa now.
Of course.
And
who doesn't love that? I mean, that's awesome, to give away your work and let people be able to read it.
Yeah. And, Alexa's great. She's kicking my ass into gear, so.
That was well put. Very nice. Okay, great. Well, now we've come to the part where I have to rattle off a bunch of information, which means you get to rest your voice for just a moment. And this is more so for the listening audience. I'm going to read off an entire group of different things here that, and when I get finished, you can correct me, Darren, if I'm mistaken, but I'm hoping that I caught everything. This is for the listening audience, for any one of you that are interested in any of the books that we just talked about, which I'll reiterate. And again, we have The Great Illusory, The Dark Rising, Foreverland. Obviously, we referenced Forest Town Chronicles, and, of course, the blog is entitled The Wilderness Within. Now, the website itself is foresttownchronicles.com. He has a Twitter handle, which is @Darren, and it's spelled Darren, in case you're wondering, and then Hawbrook is Hawbrook. He has an Instagram handle, only this is Darren and then _ and then Hawbrook. He is on Pinterest, Goodreads, Kindle. He's also on Amazon. He has his Facebook page, which is a personal page where you can find him by his name. And, of course, there's also the Darren Hawbrook author page, which is out there. And then I don't want to forget to mention awildernesswithin.com. Have I missed anything?
No, you got it. That's great.
I did my job today. Awesome. So I got all that good stuff. I got that all good stuff. Now, if you've listened to my show, Darren, and I know that you have, what's coming now? What am I going to do now? What's the tail end of my show? What happens now? You should know this.
I'm going to have to confess, I've never got to the end.
No, that's okay.
Dina Martin.
That's okay. The last thing that I do on my show, and I end out my show like this every single time for a reason, I always get to take an opportunity to tell my guest what I think of him or her. And the reason that I do that is because it lets my listeners, my audience, your fans, your followers, people get a side of you and they get my take of you based upon my research, based upon having interviewed you. And I think it's just a nice introspective look at who you are. But before I start, I do not want to forget to mention Alexa. If it was not for Alexa, this interview would not have happened. Alexa and I, again, happen to be part of, same thing with yesterday's interview with Antonia. We both happen to be, there's an actual Facebook Czar page, and we happen to find each other. And Alexa actually works for a company called Write, Publish, Sell. And it's Alexa. I'm not going to screw up her last name, but I will spell it if you want to look it up. It's Bigwarfe. So thank you so much to Alexa for orchestrating this, because she came to me and she says, I've got this great client and he's got these great books and he's got it coming out by Halloween. And I said, let's get her done before Halloween. And look at that. We did it. We got it right under the wire here. I'm so proud of us. I think we did a great job. Yeah. You think? You think?
I hope. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's,
well, of course, but I'm not done. I got to finish. I got to tell you what I think first. Okay, so you listen in, because I'm going to get a chance to tell you what I think. So these are my impressions of Darren. When I first met him, I didn't meet him on a phone. I didn't meet him anywhere except on a Facebook page, to be honest with you. I actually started creeping on his author page, and I started to read a bunch of different things. And one of the first things that I noticed about Darren that I admired so much was his affinity and appreciation for the written language. Most of the time, I gravitate to individuals who are like myself, who have such an appreciation for the English language, and he tends to be one of those people. He takes writing very seriously, he takes his work very seriously, and more importantly, he takes his characters and molds them into creations of himself, as we've heard. But most importantly, he creates dainty, I call them dainty, they're very large-scale stories, but on the inside, every one of these little characters, all these different characters, all these different sets and frames, and I can picture in my mind a full-stage movie out of these novelettes, if you want to call them that, and that's my personal opinion. I can envision you having a bigger vision for your work besides just the pages in a book. I see movies. I see a play. I see multiples of outlets for the work that you've created. I think that you are amazingly humble for the talent that you possess. I'm not sure if anyone tells you that, but I think it's true. I think you probably don't give yourself enough credit. I don't think you give yourself enough pats on the back, or you probably don't get enough downtime away from your pencil or pen, and I think I would advise that you probably do that. I love the fact that you have some of the same interests as I. I love the fact that you're interesting and you're not a closet person with a typewriter that I'm probably afraid of that might chase me down my backyard, but it's a good thing. I never like to be afraid of my guests. I think that you're friendly. I think that you're funny. I think that you're very sweet. And I think that your future with the pen and paper is going to be amazingly successful because of the fact that you are so true to what you do for a living, so true to your passion. And people so true to something that they love never fail. They've already succeeded because they're living their dream. And Darren, you are living a wonderful dream out in the middle of nowhere. I wish I could say that we would rub elbows together, but unless you either get to London or come to the United States, we might be in trouble here. But I would be very flattered if you'd come back at any point in time onto my show and tell me more about your mysteries and your all of your travels and all of your wonderful successes with your books. I would love that.
Oh. Wow, thank you. Yeah, no, I'd love to come back, and who knows, maybe on the music side we'll get that thing going, and
yes, that would be awesome.
Get some
definitely
tracks on or something.
Yes, yeah. And before, you know what, I screwed up and I forgot to ask you something. Now, just to clarify, Foreverland, the launch itself is on October 31st. If people want to participate in the launch, do they go to Facebook, or what's going to be the easiest way for them to participate on Halloween?
Yeah, the Facebook or on the Forest Town Chronicles website, either of those. If anybody's interested, we're looking for advanced readers. We can send a copy out to get a review on. But all that information's on the website and on Facebook.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. My goodness. Well, look at that. Well, I've kept you up late enough, my dear. You may go off and be with your family. I cannot thank you enough for the time and your talent. I appreciate it, and thank you for being a guest on my show.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I may have a little glass of wine now before bed. So.
See, there you go. And I'm going to get off of my show shortly, and I'm going to have a glass of wine before I go out to dinner. So we'll both be having a glass of wine in different countries and thinking of each other. All my love to your family, my dear, and I'll talk to you soon, probably before your launch. Good luck.
Okay, great. Thanks, then. Bye.
All right, Darren. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. It's amazing, or absolutely what? Right? I was so nervous. I was thinking science fiction, horror. I'm kind of thinking he might be creeper, but he totally was not creeper, and wasn't that lovely? So again, I want to go through all the different ways that you can find him. As you heard, October 31st is the launch of Foreverland, which is, of course, the third book in Forest Town Chronicles. You can go online to Facebook, or you can also go to foresttownchronicles.com to participate on Halloween for that. Again, he has a Facebook personal page. To reiterate, Darren is Darren. Spelling of last name is Hawbrook. So the personal page, and then, of course, he also has the Darren Hawbrook author page. ForestTownChronicles.com. The blog is awildernesswithin.com. He's on Google+, Kindle, Goodreads, Pinterest, and Amazon. His Instagram, again, is Darren_Hawbrook. And, of course, the Twitter handle is @Darren, and it's, again, Hawbrook for that. Huge, huge thanks one more time to Alexa. Of course, obviously, if you want to take a look at her work and the people that she works with, it is Write, Publish, Sell. It's all 3 words. There you go. So big thanks to you, Alexa. Thank you so much. I feel very grateful and very appreciative and very fortunate. And how many words can I come up with to say thank you? I don't know. Alexa, it's been a true pleasure. And please feel free to send me any of your clients. Authors are some of my favorite people in the entire world. To you, the listening audience, as always, without you guys, I would not have a show. So I thank you so much for tuning in for the later day. Again, one more time, we are going to be having Answer Infinity, and as I understand it, all the band members will be on the show tomorrow, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. I myself am going to go take an hour's worth of final resting before I go out for the evening. I hope to see you all tonight at All Strikers Jam, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.